Hello, Scorpio. Nicholas Ashbaugh here with my trusty assistant, Apollo. And we're so happy to see you. Looking forward to taking a look at the next 6 to 8 weeks, basically to help empower and inform. That's the goal here. And for Apollo, maybe to go back to sleep. So let me put him back behind me so we can get focused and begin the discussion today. So I hope everybody's doing well. If it's your first time here, welcome. You're in for a treat. We've got some good energy coming through for your sign today. I'm also using a new deck. I pinned that in the comment on the side chat, so feel free to check it out if you'd like to. That's an affiliate link as well. So I always begin with channeled messages at the beginning. This morning, I was really focusing on meditation, and for you, I feel like you're right at the precipice of taking this next step, but whenever there's a movement, an opportunity, or a shift that comes through, a lot of times there's hesitation because with that sort of movement, it basically requires like a leap of faith or sometimes just getting past any of the fear or lethargic energy. So I'm going to help you with that right now. We're going to jump straight into channeled messages. So before I begin each reading, there are different ways that I use divination here. Some of it is meditation, some is dream interpretation, and of course, a big portion of it is card reading. But we're going to start with the meditation this morning that I did before I began, and basically gathered some information that's going to help you out, set you on the right path, and hopefully get past any potential blocks that might be coming through for you. This is going to be for Sun, Rising, Moon, Venus, any aspect of your chart that you happen to know. And the energy that we're looking at, I always look a month ahead. It's the next 6 to 8 weeks. So let's begin. A stairway or a ladder, some steps basically were coming through in spirit as I was meditating. So I'm going to help you through that kind of energy of taking that step. I also got a bee coming through as a totem. And I was paying attention to measurements and balance. So we'll talk about all of this as we work through your channeled messages. Beginning with that first or next or final step, wherever you're at, the step that's kind of like right in front of you seems to be the thing that could be causing the biggest sort of hurdle for you. So basically all spirit showed me were stairs and a portal. The portal can be a door, it can be a person, it can be an opportunity, it's symbolic. But basically, the universe is kind of prompting or asking you, are you ready? And what's the hesitation? As we look at the cards today and I look at deep past and recent past, I'll try to help you through any of those hesitations. From what I was feeling energetically, it could just be being overwhelmed, basically, worrying or just wondering like, how or where do I get started? And basically what I picked up in my meditation was anywhere. Just begin a step, and that step will help inform the next step. So I know it sounds almost too simple or too easy, but it really is as easy as simply beginning, because sometimes you have to kind of pull like the Two of Swords, for instance, in tarot. If we just sit there and wait and hope and focus on what isn't clear, then you're in a stasis. So any movement is better than none. And any movement will help start to clear the path and help you see the next step. And that's the first message here with the Fool and with steps in general, is to just start the movement. Now, the bee for me is one of the best potential totems that can come through because it represents myriad of kind of potential positive energies. So among those, if we kind of break down what a bee is involved with, the colony, what it has as defense, the stinger, what it does for us, pollination, they're all really good things. So the colony energy is basically being able to work in a group. And whether you're the queen bee or a worker bee or a drone, you play an equally important part, because any one of those not being in the sort of colony organization would basically be tantamount to a collapse. And they have to quickly fix that when that happens. So know this. Even if nobody's told you this today, you're an important piece of the overarching puzzle and hierarchy. You're important, you matter, you're worthy, if I were to boil it down. Your work with others is going to be important. How well you can collaborate and cooperate. As I was shuffling this new deck, I noticed that the Five of Wands has like this dragon on it. And a lot of times the Five of Wands is the challenge when we look at, collaboration, because competition energy comes out. So be mindful of that. I put the Queen Bee card, one of the Queen Bees that I would want to put here. I chose Queen of Pentacles over Queen of Wands because She really is the eternal mother next to the Empress. Queen of Wands is the queen boss, but Queen of Pentacles really takes care of everybody. That would be the mama bear. So you want to kind of connect with the Queen or King of Pentacles energy and nurture and foster and organize things this month, and you're going to be really happy with the results. Yes, protect what matters most to you. The stinger is important. You could see that as a sword, like the King of Swords, or an ace, and just basically being mindful of it, because I believe that there are different varieties of bees where they sting, and sometimes that's it. So you want to pick and choose your moment. You don't want to basically extend too much energy in a fight if it's not worthy of your energetic exchange there. Again, you're bringing value, movement, and abundance to all parts of your life right now. Pollination, sometimes without even trying, the bee is beneficial, right? So you just being there is allowing for something positive to happen in your life. So know that. And again, we don't always hear that from people around us. They just, they take us for granted, and sometimes vice versa. All right, let's move on to the final piece of the totem today and the channel messages. And this was a measured approach. And again, I was seeing measurements. It's easier in tarot to pick one of the scales cards when I'm looking at this. And I liked Justice because it's so strong, but Six of Pentacles would also be perfect for this. But basically what the scales or the ruler or any measurement device is telling you is to pay attention to how much. How much are you giving? How much are you receiving? How much of an impact is what you're doing making? Is the sort of exchange where you want it to be? So the three final bullets are the important pieces here. Work smarter, be succinct and be clear, be efficient. And if you can really master those three things, success is yours this month. And as I'm going to look at the cards here in just a few moments, we're going to see how we can bring all of that together for you. So we're going to move on next to the Celtic Cross. As I said earlier, I have a new deck which I'll be using today. I hope that you like it. If you want to follow the link, you can. This is called the Universal Celtic Tarot. It was one that was suggested to me when I asked earlier, what would you guys like me to use? So thank you for those of you that suggested it. First time using it, I spent a good 5 minutes shuffling it before we began, making sure that everything was ready for today. All right, I'm going to be quiet at this point. Simply pull the cards. Let's see what's coming through from Spirit, and then we'll break it down together and see what's coming through. Gosh, I love the Sun card, and what a beautiful Sun card. So again, thanks to those of you that recommended it. Always fun to work with some new decks. I'm continuing to look for some new ones, and some of them it took a while. I got this one from like Book Depository, so it takes a little while because I think that's a British company for it to come. All right, let me stop talking and just focus on the cards for a moment. Choose kindness. Such a beautiful message coming through with your catalyst. We'll cover that more in a minute, but if only more of us would do that, right? It'd be a much easier place. Interesting that you got two death messages and judgment, which is rebirth, and a miraculous card. Wow, I have to say, just as a little spoiler, I'm really excited about where this is headed. Death is in the outcome. The death card is also in wealth. So change in work, relationships are also moving forward with judgment, and then something miraculous in the overall trajectory for today. So it's a good month, folks. And actually, just looking at the rest of the spread here, let's see what your challenges might be so I can focus on them as we go through this. There's a lot going on. I feel like you're pretty busy this month. So part of it is that task management and that energy management. We've got the Six of Pentacles, which I mentioned, was one of the other ones that I would choose. But if I look at the core of this, you're really headed in the right direction. So we see here a change for the better, which has been a trend that I've noticed with a couple of signs this month. So the challenge this month in the catalyst is to do what the face value says here, basically to choose kindness. Sometimes we're asked to choose kindness in the face of the opposite of that. So there could be someone in your life that's coming through and triggering you with unjust actions, unkind words, basically modeling behavior that is the antithesis of that. So, impatience, cruelty, judgment, any of those things, which unfortunately we all face from day to day in various degrees. So the true sign of a leader is being able to model behavior, even if it doesn't exist, to inspire behavior, even when others may not think or be ready to sort of do that, and basically be the light. So for many of you, choosing that kinder route, not only is it going to be better for the collective around you, but it's better for you. Because any of the previous things, the low frequency things that I talked about, like anger, resentment, hate, hatred, it's not just a one-way thing. It hits both ends. Basically, it's like it's got a barb in you and a barb in the other person. And like a stinger of a bee, it's stuck in there and it does a little bit of damage on both sides. So when you don't use that, or when you release that, then healing can happen here. The other person can try to send barbs your way, but if you're in that sort of neutral place where you can recognize it and bounce it back, not even bounce it back, just say, this isn't worth my time and energy. That stinger metaphor is making a lot more sense now, especially with this. You have to be mindful of that. You don't want to get stuck in someone else's energy just because of one situation. So choose kindness. It really is a better way to go. And one thing that you can do if kindness isn't the easiest thing, or it's not as accessible to you, is simply to choose to not act and just decide in this moment that I need to just focus on something else. So no action is better than saying something cruel. And eventually you can work your way to the kindness, but sometimes just taking a deep breath, taking a pause, that would be my advice there. Let's move into the cards now and focus on all the different messages here. So the center card was so inspirational when I saw it, just like a breath of fresh air here. Look at this beautiful sun card. I love how the solar energy is squarely between the antlers on this beautiful animal. And it's really about keeping your head in that high space, that high energy. In Druid and Celtic and pagan decks, all of the antlers really are about connecting to source. So plug into that higher energy this month. Get inspired. This is a card of charisma, creation, birthing, and release. These should be your central themes this month. If you feel stuck, if you start going in a counterintuitive or counter-creative direction, it's about getting back to the sun card. And you can meditate on this beautiful image whenever you feel like it. And what we see here is that you carry what it takes to kind of bring you through the next level. This is rebirth in the light of this this judgment card, which for many of you, this came through, and we'll cover this later in the love area. So for some of you, a key partnership, because I look at love with a capital L. So this could be family, work, or love, like relationship, could be coming to a nexus, juncture, change, etc. So this is about allowing yourself to move through that change and be strong. Okay, but ultimately this is an empowerment card right at the center, and an empowering card as well. What are people looking at you now to do to create some organization? We have the Hierophant here, which is teacher, organizer, CEO or leader. A lot of times this is a gatekeeper, but the way that I see it here is either you're graduating and moving beyond the need for a gatekeeper, or some of you have gone from student to teacher. So the cool thing is whether you can see it or not, the cards are showing that graduation day, that judgment card is definitely at hand. Aren't these beautiful images? It's always nice to work with some new cards here. Things to think about with the judgment card. Sometimes we don't get the support that we need. Sometimes this card is crossing it, so it's neither upright nor reversed. It's simply there. So when I look at a Hierophant card, it's really about a couple of things. Reminding yourself that you've always had the key to make something happen, but sometimes you need to go through the steps, the levels, in order to feel validated. So the diploma that we receive when we graduate from a course of study, the truth of the matter is you may have energetically graduated months or years before the diploma, but getting it on paper gives you that feeling of entitlement. So what I'd like you to know right now is that you're energetically showing up as ready. Now, the steps necessary may require you to go through a few things here. This is also hierarchy and bureaucracy. And so sometimes we have to go through these predetermined and preordained paths in order to get that sort of pat on the back and gold star and diploma. But you're already there, so don't give up now, even if you're feeling this sense of lethargy or doubt or fear. All right, let's look into your past and recent past. This is where karma and blocks show up a lot of the times. So as we're looking here at your deep past, some of you are healing from someone who just didn't show up the way that they needed you to show, or you needed them to show up rather. Seven of Swords can be someone being dishonest. It could be someone saying that they were going to do something and not, whether or not they intended to fall short of their promise, they did. And for you, it's also a reality check to be very honest with yourself and others. So if you want to do something, don't say that you don't. If something matters, don't pretend that it doesn't. And if you can't do something, say that you can't. Basically, put it out there. And that's part of those bullets that I was talking about, being concise, being, here, let's look at those bullets one more time because they're important. But don't beat around the bush, because being succinct, it really does involve honesty. So work smarter, be succinct, and be efficient. I would add to that, honesty is key, directness is key. It's not always the easiest thing, but it is vital and important in this moment, all right? So the other thing with the Seven of Swords is it's in the past. It doesn't have to come back. This doesn't show up to me as problematic, but it does create a little bit of a scar when we go through a breakup or a fallout or a situation where we were wronged or in the wrong, and it's just sort of like there on a soul level. So heal that a little bit and say, I learned from it. Wasn't the most fun situation, but it really was impactful, and I learned a lot. For those of you that haven't had that, this is just a reality check to be realistic, okay? We got two cards here that were stuck to each other, and these cards are they don't do that, so I paid attention to that. So let's look at the presenting card on top. We have Eight of Pentacles, which is a favorable card here in the recent past. This is what I just talked about. This is a schooling card, so there are two cards that represent training and mastery. So the Eight of Pentacles is learning, knowledge expansion, and it leads to the Three of Pentacles, which is mastery. But what I said is still here, which is you've gotten pretty far along the path. We zoom in a little bit, we can see the fox right on the corner. There's actually a lot of different animals we see. The rabbit, the fox, a little deer in the background. And even, I can't even see what that other one is, but basically there's a lot of energy around you, and the owl up here. So one of the things I would say is tune in. Some of you might have your head in the books. It's like having blinders on, or focusing solely on a person or something that isn't there. And what I'm seeing in this card is, look at all you've created. Look at all the people that are paying attention to you. You have a bit of an audience, and people have taken note of your wisdom, because we have the owl up in the tree there. So job well done. Again, I'm encouraging you to finish what you started. Underneath it, we have the Nine of Wands. And this is a card which is basically one of survival, of being really, really much stronger than people might anticipate. It's kind of like the cat that has 9 lives, and on that 8th life, as it kind of gets thrown over the cliff, it lands on its feet, and it's like, I'm not done yet. I still have life in me. What you often have to do in the Nine of Wands is it's one more little hurdle. You're proving yourself one more time, but it's easier. It's a lot easier than the Seven of Wands. And it's just a matter of sometimes pushing yourself. So I think what I was looking at when I saw the stairs, whether it was a ladder or a stairwell, it's sort of like if you've had a long day and you're looking, you know that there's like, you're trying to catch the bus or something, there's like one more flight of steps and it's just like, ugh, are we done yet? When is this going to happen? You're very close. Don't give up. Push through this and realize how much you've done and how much people are taking note of you. Okay. And notice behind this Eight of Pentacles, that beautiful, brilliant path. That's the portal that I was picking up on. So we see this green path. You're kind of in that liminal space between the beginning and the end of it. And sometimes it's a little blurry when you're in the in-between zone, but it's going to be all right based on how hard you've worked. It's just a matter of agreeing to finish what you've started too. This is a promise to yourself as much as it is to others. We make contracts with ourselves, with others, and the ones with ourselves is the most powerful one. So pay attention to that. In the best possible way, you owe it to yourself to finish. So we have the Seven of Wands in the crowning position, which is most likely why I was talking about working smarter. This is the most sort of like stressed out Seven of Wands that I've seen. Usually it's not this sort of like perilous looking. I'm going to pull the traditional one as we talk, but let's look at this for a second. What you want to do in the moment right now is not let stress, anxiety, or frustration, that's really what I'm picking up on her facial expressions here. Don't let those lower frequency energies impede with the progress that you've taken so far, because you really are much further along than you may imagine. The Seven of Wands basically is saying there are things that are worth fighting for. Intellectual property, getting justice if there is injustice. But when it comes to maybe like a petty argument or a disagreement or an opinion, there may be some things where you're like, let bygones be bygones, whatever. If it's not affecting me, I'm not going to worry about it. And also you can push back if there's an unrealistic expectation or request. You can just say, this is what I can do. That, you're going to have to find someone else for this. It's basically knowing boundaries and holding firm to them. This is a more typical expression. He's still not thrilled about it. You look at his face, it's a little bit, worse for the wear, but he's holding his ground just a little bit better than this figure is. So you may find yourself somewhere between these two extremes. And the key thing to kind of get back to is that feeling of, I'm going to remember what Nicholas said. I've made too much progress. I've come too far. And this one person isn't going to get me out of my sort of like cool, calm, collected zone. There's always a test. The universe always wants to throw you a curveball. That's really all that is. Now, here's one of the ways that you can continue to achieve and maintain your balance. We have the Six of Pentacles. This is the base card that I look for success. And so what I see here is that you've done enough work to basically be successful. All you have to do is be realistic. And we've been talking a lot about being realistic. So with the Six of Pentacles, here's the kind of cool thing that I could say. You can get what you want. You just can't have it on all the terms that you want. So basically, if you want a lot, it could take longer. So sometimes we stretch out the timeline. Okay, sounds good. If you want it now, you may need to give up scope. You can't have as much, but you can have it now. Or if you want to have it all, you're going to have to spend a little bit more and get a little bit of assistance. Something has to give. So you're either pulling in resources, pulling back on expectations, or spreading out the timeline. And that's really what the Six of Pentacles is about, is figuring out give and take. It's also looking at people over time and thinking to yourself, little internal audit, I continue to do stuff, but I don't get a lot back. Not that you're keeping track, but you really have to think, is it worth it? Can I give this to someone else, this time, energy, or attention, and will they do more with it than this person? So it's also about discernment. So being picky, being realistic, and making those difficult choices, but ultimately it's going to lead to success, okay? Six of Pentacles is a really good place to be this month, but it does require balance. And so those 3 bullets that I was talking about are going to help you working smarter, being more efficient, being more succinct. Now I memorized them finally. All right, let's look and see how you're showing up this month. I have to say it's pretty good. We've got the Knight of Cups here. Beautiful energy. Look at that horse. So I think one of the challenges this month is how to take the excitement and the passion and channel them and not get sort of carried away in one direction. It is about the reason that we got the Hierophant is he's really good at organization. So if you start the month off with a plan, this is ostensibly your own plan, and then stick to the plan, your emotions will fuel it rather than take you in some wild direction with like this Mustang going in some undisclosed, unplanned direction. Now, I do want you to have the freedom to brainstorm, explore, etc., but carve out how much time you're going to spend on it. This month, anything is possible and almost everything can be done, but you have to realize that this could take away from something else. So everything's a choice. How much you want to fight here, how much you want to brainstorm here, how much you want to relax there. So make some smart choices. But as the world looking at you, the Knight of Cups couldn't ask for much better of a card here, because what I see with this is someone who is passionate, compassionate, who moves people with their passion and with their creativity, and who's also moving forward. It's movement on multiple levels. Love could be coming in for you too. If you're looking for love, it could be a water sign as well. Could be you, because this is you. But whatever it is, I love what I'm seeing here with it. Basically, because I'm reading for an element that represents water, I want to see that fluidity, and we've got it there. And you're showing up exactly the way I'd like to see you show up. So it's going to be a good month for you. A couple of challenges, a couple of choices, and one thing in the past that may be the hardest thing, just letting go of something, forgiving yourself, forgiving someone else. But once you get past that, it's pretty rosy. It's looking good. All right, let's look at what's going on around you. This is one area where distraction could set in. This is the equivalent of that, ooh, shiny, if there's a shiny object and it grabs your attention. So we see the dragon atop of all of these cups. We see a lot of different things that could be interesting, enticing to you. And what we can learn from the dragon is they don't really do a lot with those sort of, when they kind of hoard all of their jewels and gold and everything, it just sits there. So the Seven of Cups can represent the stagnancy that illustrator kind of captured there. So the cool part of the Seven of Cups is expansion. What about this? What about this? What about this? The not so cool is the stagnicity that happens sometimes when you don't decide, well, what about that one? So my suggestion for you is to take an idea and go with it. Don't spend too much time in the Seven of Cups energy. Just enough to taste, to sample, and imagine if it were sort of like an opportunity for you to pick what meal you wanted and you were just supposed to take a bite of each. You don't want to spend all your time sampling, there'll be nothing left for the meal. You don't want to spend too much time just kind of only sampling one. Look through it, get a good sample, and then choose, okay? And that's the best piece of advice here. There could be someone thinking about you. You could be thinking about someone else. When we take the brainstorming piece out, this is also fixation on something. That can lead to distraction. So if there is a fixation on a person, on something, then find a way to talk about it or do something about it, or reprogram the brain a little bit, whether that's through meditation or through exercise or creativity, I don't care. Somehow change the channel so that you can get back into creation, which is really what this month is about. So your ace is an Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups in reverse is exactly what we just talked about. Before you can fill up your cup, you have to feel a sense of being supported. So some of you are just doing everything for everyone else and the cup is empty. So in that case, the Ace of Cups reverse could be empty and you have to fill it up yourself with rest, with meditation, with relaxation, with proper diet, exercise, etc. You basically are your own sustaining energy. Some of you need to decompress because you've taken in a lot. This is a receiving energy. So if you're a nurse, a teacher, a healer, anybody out there that basically receives others' energy and helps them with the processing of it, then you need to probably do a little bit of work on clearing out some of their energy. And then for the rest of you, it's just about release. We all need that. We all need to just sort of let go. And I've been advocating that in many signs. So it could just be a day off, a vacation, reading a book, watching a movie, listening to a podcast. I don't care how you do it. But there needs to be a little sense of letting go. And then you're going to be able to focus on pulling things back in, okay? There could also be love coming from an unexpected direction, especially if you're focused on something else. This person could come charging into your life. So this is definitely a good month for love, but it's unexpected, maybe inconvenient. If you're, again, looking for it, we'll go more into that in just a few moments, but that's something that I'm picking up on already. The whole month is setting you up for this lovely death and transformation card. It's reversed, but let's look at it upright. And so I say lovely and we see like heads on stakes there. But if I take out the bottom portion, what I like about this is movement. And so this is really what death is about. But sometimes we are looking at the wake of everything that has happened. So that's interesting. With the card in reverse, some of us are afraid of letting go. We might feel like if I accept, embrace, or approach this change element in my life, will I be okay? What's next? It's sort of the fear of the unknown. And the thing is, with change, it happens whether you're ready or whether you're not. So having just experienced someone in my own life who transitioned, one thing that they keep telling me is, I can't believe it happened so fast. And I'm like, yeah, that's how it happens. It sneaks up on you, that transition. So in cards and in your life, you're going to have some sort of an understanding, a precognition that the change is approaching. With death reversed and judgment upright, this again for many of you is in the energy of partnerships. It's more about, what am I going to do with the change? What am I going to do after the change? Do I feel like I'm worthy and ready for the next step? Because when you feel the worthiness and the readiness, that's when everything starts to come together and is easy to focus and understand. Let's expand the forecast now. We're going to begin with the health card, mind, body, spirit. And as we take a look at this health card, we have integrity. What a great energy. This integrity card is absolutely connected to the Seven of Swords, because this is the reverse of the Seven of Swords. It's like the antithesis, not the reverse of. It's how I would take it and neutralize it. So for your mind, body, and spirit, you have to do what's not just right, but what you really feel. It's beyond the integrity is even beyond that. It's saying, like, it's not just right. It's what I said I was going to do. It's what you said you were going to do. We're doing it because we said we were going to do it, and it's the right thing to do. Don't just do it to do it. Do it because it feels right. Do it because it is right. And if there are people in your life that lack the integrity that you're looking for and also deserving of, it's time to move on. It's time to find things that are more in that sort of frequency. And again, as I spoke earlier in the channeled messages, and actually just it was with this, we model behavior, even if we don't see it, even if we haven't been given everything that we need to have this, we model the behavior. So you're going to focus this month to be happier and healthier on being basically leading with integrity. And that's basically finishing what you started, following through on your promises, and holding other people to the same. And that's going to, it absolutely is going to make you feel better, because a little bit of house cleaning might happen as you kind of move through all of that. Again, with the disclaimer that you saw in the main card, I'm not a substitute for a doctor, therapist, or financial advisor, but we're still going to look at the cards and look at the energy, because what I can do is help you see opportunities, and what you will do is be empowered and figure out what's best for you. So that being said, we already talked about this. One thing that I would say when it comes to general health and well-being is only begin something when you're truly ready, when you've let go and mourned whatever was and whatever isn't working. Some of you may need or may have already had a close call with change or death, or it's like a wake-up call, and a friend or a doctor or someone in your life has said, this has to change, and you finally hear the call. So that's a good thing when it happens, even if it's a little bit unnerving. What we see at the center is a guiding force. And I think that's the important thing. Why are you doing it? Maybe this is a child card. So maybe it's for your inner child or for a child in your life if you're a parent. Maybe it's also because you see a different version of yourself and you want to allow that version to have the best shot that it can have. And I like that. Balancing out, as I said earlier, the energy in your life, how you're spending your time, work-life balance, your money, everything in general, just finding balance is key. So yes, integrity is a piece of that, but a bigger piece of that is also not giving too much, not getting too little. Everything else I quite like. The death card is showing me that if you go into the month and want to create a change, you have a very good chance of learning. You might have a little bit of challenge as you push yourself through it with the 9 and the 7 of Wands, but ultimately we see success here. I think the biggest challenge for many of you could also be distraction and emotional health. So if you're feeling a little bit triggered, if there's something that you're sad or nervous or anxious about, again, lean on someone in your life that you trust, whether it's friend, family, or professional. Distraction and concentration are also things that happen with the 7 of Cups that you may want to be mindful of. Okay, let's move from the health card to wealth. Wealth is not just career, but your relationship with resources. And this is where the biggest change happens. So in wealth, we have Azrael, the angel of death and transformation. And it's coming through and it's saying, the card is basically an acknowledgement. It's where you want to be, saying, thank you for leading me, Azrael, through this change. Change is sometimes easy, sometimes not. I don't want to put out there, because we actually create self-fulfilling prophecies when we say something like, change is never easy. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's exactly what you want. But change always requires just a little bit of finesse. And so I think the challenge is we're looking at your creative, professional, and resource management this month is how can you ease into the new you with finesse, with grace, basically not burning any bridges. So let's take a look at the cards and see. Some of you don't need any other acknowledgement from me than these 3 pivotal cards: death, and basically rebirth, judgment. So we see a change that is happening and needs to happen, and we see something better. This is the bounce back card. The traditional one would show Archangel Gabriel and souls rising from the dead. I'll leave it to the side just so we can see it. But for you this month, it's more an understanding that you're going to have to kind of like move through a change, and you have to trust, and we'll look at that up close in a second. You have to trust that there'll be something better on the other side. First, before we look at all of that, let's just see why changes might be coming about. For some of you, there is sort of like this systemic energy, or for some of you, it could be like the friends, the coworkers, or the family energy around you. There's a lack of that integrity or accountability. And that, of course, is going to lead to less satisfaction. So for some of you, you just want people that you can trust, that you can lean on, that you can depend on. And it's not there. And when that's in a work situation or a money situation, absolutely it's time to move in a different direction. One thing that I'm seeing here for you is improvement with finances. So the 8 of Pentacles doesn't have to be money. This can be something that you're kind of sitting on that could bring a lot of change and a lot of movement in your life. It's usually knowledge or a lesson learned. It's leading to this better management over here. So I see lessons, management, and power, because this tells a 3-card story, past, present, future. So you're absolutely you're wrapping your head around something. And what you're going to be at the end of this is a boss, the Hierophant. But if your boss or your gatekeeper isn't allowing you to get where you need to be, then it's time to move on. So for some of you, it's a glass ceiling. For some of you, it's promises that haven't been kept. For some of you, you don't know what to focus on. It's bad leadership. For some of you, it's lack of satisfaction or not being able to creatively express yourself. What I see here is hard work. Again, a lot of people that can see your value outside of the gatekeeper, and an ability to definitely go into a better direction. So if you are ready for that, the Judgment card is showing that that is absolutely within reach, but it does require for some of you what I was seeing in spirit, walking up the staircase and trying it again. Sometimes we don't want to do that. We want to just stay where we're at. So you have to decide. Six of Pentacles is a decision. Am I happy with being comfortable but not being fully able to go, where I want to go? Or am I willing to do the work and sacrifice some of the time? There's trade-offs. So you might lose time and energy, but you might get your goal. You could be comfortable, but you might lose the goal. So you have to kind of figure out where you stand. You don't have to make the decision today. It's just about waking up and kind of exploring your options. I think that's the biggest thing that you could do right now is ask around, see what's going on. You could also be sitting on a lot of great ideas and opportunities, and it's just a matter of maximizing and doing something with it. So I think this is a month for awakening. It's for clearing. And for many of you, it's for actually just saying, okay, let's do this. Let's hit send. Let's flick the switch. Let's try something different. But no matter how we look at it, I do see movement for the better when it comes to resources. There might be some questions as you move into a new path, but I see openings, 2 openings here, to be honest. And I see for some of you repackaging or a reimagining of how you might appear. So we'll talk more about that when I look at the Judgment card in just a minute and look at it with relationships. So I would wrap up what I'm looking at with wealth with one thing. It's not a matter for many of you if there's going to be change, it's how and when the change is going to unfold. So you either want to do more, you want to expand in a current opportunity, or you want to look beyond that and see what else is out there. No matter how you approach that, you're going to be okay. It's now just an understanding that you have to sort of make some decisions there. Okay? So that's basically what I'm picking up on this. And the main thing here, again, is dignity, grace, kindness, being able to exit from something, even if it's acrimonious and not so fun, with that sense of dignity and grace. I know, easier said than done, but super important. By the way, creative ventures might be coming into your life right now with the Knight of Cups. You may have a lot of creativity, and I really hope that you channel this. This could be the conduit. This could be one of the keys in the Hierophant to opening up something new and exciting. Let's move on to love. It can be platonic, it can be romantic, it can be friends. Whatever it is, it's karmic. So it says Judgment. I understand that everyone has their own unique path and challenges. Judgment is one of the 3 or so karmic card markers that I would look for. You got 2 of them, and you got one of the 2 twice. So death, of course, can be past life, and you got it twice. And now we have Judgment. Suffice it to say, you've been in a key partnership, or you've run into someone at least in 2 different lifetimes. So there's multiple lifetime energy here. And if you don't really kind of subscribe to reincarnation, what we could look at is 2 patterns in this lifetime that have yet to be released. And there's a key relationship right now that's going to come through and put those to the test. So there's a couple of lessons that, guess what? I said this earlier, you've graduated energetically, but there's a cognitive switch that has to go off, a light bulb moment that has to happen for you to understand that. And once that does, up to 2 people could also be kind of like moving to other pastures. So it's a natural sort of thing. We're not talking about death, although there could be that. What I'm looking at is figurative release. So it could be a friend that decides to move to another country, could be a relationship that's naturally unwinding, could be you quitting, not keeping in touch with a few coworkers, all of those things. But the karma has already been learned and released, and now all there is sort of an energetic attachment. So let's break this down and geek out a little bit and see what's going on with the different levels of relationships. So I'm going to start off for those of you in a relationship. It's not just love, it's the person you care about the most. Then we'll look at those that are seeking partnerships or happily unpartnered. If you're in an existing partnership, be it love, work, or friend, however we're looking at this, let's kind of focus on the energy around it. Well, one thing that I like right now is the way you're showing up. There's this charisma and energy of rebirth here. And one thing that is important is whatever was isn't anymore. You're new. This is a new you, a different a different chance, a different approach. So release the past. As we look at deep and recent past, let's look at the two karmic lessons. One was just around keeping a promise. In a past lifetime, someone could have stolen money, had an affair, simply left you out waiting in the cold, something like that. So there was a promise left unkept. As we look at the recent past, what we see here is also maybe being pushed into something that you didn't want to do. This happens even now. Like parents want children to take on a career or a job that never really suited them. It may also be pushing you in a direction that you never wanted to go, not necessarily just work. So what we're really looking at here is accountability and then also freedom to decide. If you can allow those two energies to exist in your current relationship, then it's going to be all the better. Other things that we see going on in current partnerships. Again, just a little bit of taking on too much. Both sides need to pull back a little bit, focus on their own balancing of energies, and also not let the fear, frustration, or anxiety that might be going on at work or in families lead to this sense of distraction or bringing out the worst. So take a step back a little bit and remind each other that you're there for love and for support. That's the way I could help you find some harmony if you need it. I do see a chance to reconnect for many of you. I think your partner could be thinking about you as well. One thing that's interesting though, many of you have, it's inexplicable, but you just feel that you're moving in a different path. So this Knight of Cups, he's headed in a different direction. I love how it's in a kelp forest, by the way. If you look really closely, you can see all the little fish. The horse is also underwater. It's aquatic, and it's basically a kelp forest that he's in instead of a traditional one. But anyway, passions and desires and things of that nature, just sort of like your focus in life could be changing. If you've met someone at a very early age, or even if it's just been a really pivotal couple of years, we've all gone through it. 2020, 2021, 2022, the last 3 years really changed people, perspectives, and what's important. So some of you now might just be starting to kind of let all of that sit in. So it's okay to diverge. This doesn't strike me as difficult or acrimonious or uncomfortable unless you want it to be. There could be a couple of things that you're pushing for or fighting for, but I don't get 10 of Swords or Devil energy here. All I get is some questions, finding some balance, and then if you're ready to move in a direction that's opposite, fine. Some of you could just be dealing with a happy change. By the way, the Sun and death, this is a birth in your life, right? This is the death of the old version of yourselves, and this is a new life, and that's what it does. So adopting a child can be a death and sun moment as well. So if you've launched a business, if you've gone through this own sort of rebirth energy, then that's a new you, that's a change. And the partner's either on board or they aren't, or you're either on board or you're not. And that's the choice that the two of you have to make. But there's nothing uncomfortable or unfavorable about the energy in front of me, just some choices and some changes with the two of you. So think it through and see where you sit on that. For those of you that are looking for partnership, you're calling in past life energy. We talked about the past life lessons, so be mindful of that. Through your own integrity, you're going to pull in someone who also has that integrity, and rather than Seven of Swords, they're going to come through with justice, right? Someone that you can trust, someone that's a person of their word. What are they looking like? When are they coming? Well, a lot of similarities to you, but there could be additional age or experience. This strikes me as a person who very organized, could be a little bit traditional, has a spiritual and creative side. And there's something about they don't act or look their age. Because a knight and a hierophant, there's definitely an interesting juxtaposition between the two. So someone that's a little bit older but has this youthful vibe, they don't look their age. Someone that's younger but has wisdom beyond their years. And definitely someone who you've been around this planet a few times before with and maybe want to do it one more time. So good for you if that's the case. But remember, this time it's different. More balance is the key that I'm seeing here. I think the most important thing to focus on before engaging with a new person, work-life balance, emotional balance as well. Mental health is part of that mind, body, spirit. And it's ostensibly the most important piece. I would say the body and the mind, those are the two most important things. If the body's not stable, nothing's going to work. If the mind isn't where it needs to be, then you don't have the sort of keystone that you need to hold up everything. Okay? So really focus on physical and mental health this month. And then I feel like your Knight of Cups can come marching in. Let me see if there's anything else that I want to focus on. No, I just feel like there's a lot of change going on. For many of you, irrespective of your relationship status, this could be new job, new location, or new addition to the family. So there's a lot of movement going on. If you're single and happy right now, it's probably one of the best times to be single and happy because you can embrace this growth, which is really the center story. There's always a few different stories that I see when I'm looking at the spread here. The main plot, if you will, for this month is finishing what you've started, rebirth, and then maintaining the balance that you've so desperately needed to kind of be maintaining, perhaps, and now you're finally ready to do it. And then organizing and empowering yourself along that path. That's the central piece for everybody, but especially if you're single and happy. The outcome is change for the better. And we see more movement, more change, more development here. Now, a couple of notes before we move on with judgment. Sorry. If we look at the traditional judgment card, it's answering the call. So for many of you, whatever your connection to spirit, God, or the universe is, you feel a higher calling. And this is basically, are you ready to answer the call? And as you do that, or as you watch someone else answer their call, you understand that everybody has their own path. As a parent, all you can do is offer support. You don't always need to offer critique, unless, especially as the child gets older, they're not necessarily looking for that. They want an open door. They want a mentor. They want someone that is a champion and cheering them on. You could say, I'm here if you have questions. I've been through something similar, but I also believe and trust in your ability to knock it out of the park. So be the best sort of cheerleader that you can for other people going through change. And if you're going through it, you could let others know how to show up and say, I don't need advice, I just need support. Or if I need advice, I'll ask for it. Because judgment is also judgment. So when and if you're ready, you can ask. And if you're not, say, I'm not asking for permission. I'm telling you that this is what I'm doing. And that is also a big mark of being an adult and being independent and being assured of what, like really having the confidence. I know this is me, this is my path. So, oops, I keep hitting the mic there. So wake up call as I'm doing that to focus on what's important. Okay, that's everything for relationships, and it's pretty good overall. Change is the name of the game with relationships, change and growth, right? So yes, and of course, I already mentioned this can represent self. So it can be a water sign, it can be an aspect of yourself. The most important relationship is the relationship that you have with yourself. So everything I just talked about, including the partnership one, could be about what you need to focus on with yourself because, yeah, it all begins with you. Moving on to the destiny, your trajectory as it stands from this point. Every month we revisit destiny because every month your choices reshape the path in front of you. Your current destiny card is signified by one of the best ones I could pull. It's Miracle. And some of you are doubting perhaps the ability for something amazing to happen, or when it comes through, there could be a question. If the universe hands you a lotto card, you say, thank you very much. A winning lotto card, thank you very much. And you don't question your deservedness of it. If a door opens and opportunity is knocking and something is great on the other side, it's a synchronicity that you created. So I want you to, I'm not going to put that out there. I encourage you to welcome change, opportunity, and abundance. Because if you do that, the universe is like, oh, you are receptive for that. Good, I have more where that came from. But it is checking on your receptivity. Because when I'm looking at hope spheres and opportunities, some of you aren't receptive. Now I understand why. There's a fear perhaps here that there's something, that it's a mistake. You can't be thinking of me for this. Yes, the universe is thinking of you for something amazing. So something wonderful is about to happen on the horizon. When it does, gratitude. Just say, thank you very much. Thank you, universe. Thank you, higher self. Thank you, multiple lifetimes of work for setting me up for this synchronicity. I don't know how or why, but I'm so happy that it's here. You can always wonder like why, but don't question why. Just say, I'll figure that out later. I'm just happy that this happened. Okay, that's my message for the miracle. The miracle is a change, an unforeseen change. It could be love, it could be opportunity, it could be an idea, it could be someone that sees value and worth in you that you just don't understand yet, but it's there nonetheless. Okay? Good job, folks. I'm glad that you've been doing the work on yourself to set that up. Let's look at a big idea to kind of bring focus to all that we've talked about and see what it's all about. Okay, Justice, we talked about you. Hello. So she came through, not only in the channeled messages in my meditation, but also here in the cards. Justice, you've got justice and judgment. You've got the oracle for judgment, but it's okay. I'm going to pull up the tarot version of it just so that we have it here. So these two cards represent like two different ends of the spectrum. With the justice piece, you have more control than you think. So judgment is, it's been decreed, it's been decided, the announcement that you see here from the universe, from heaven. It's basically saying, so be it, and so it is. This is what should I do? How do I feel? It's also standing up for something. I don't believe in that. I want this instead. It's doing what's right. It's saying what's right. It's making a decision. It's very empowered because of that. There is responsibility behind this card, unlike judgment, where you just have to decide, how do I feel about it? What do I want to do about it? And owning like that the change is happening. So justice is asking you this month, all the things I said, which side of the road are you on? If there's a difficult conversation or whatever, you have to sometimes pick the side that's best for you and that's best. It's saying, what would I do that is in the frequency of integrity? What's right? And at the end of the day, you should be able to trust justice. It's like the law. It's something that's solid, that's carved. This is carved in stone. So when you finally commit to something, I had a vision earlier this month for a different sign, but they were showing someone that had to swear to the angel, like, because usually sometimes there can be an angel on this, but like to the angel or the representation of justice. It's like, before justice, say exactly what you just said. And justice looked down and it's like, you have to be, I'm holding you to your word. So be of your word and hold others to their word. And if they are not capable of that, you're done with that cycle. So what it makes it easy for you. You're like, okay. But what we see here is an oath and a promise, right? She's holding up the scales. They're bending before justice and they're saying, yes, we take this oath, we take this promise. This could be marriage, by the way, for some of you. This is a justice and you can get married in front of a justice. So Ace of Cups, just FYI. This is love. This is marriage. This is the change that happens after marriage. This is the joy that you feel during that sort of thing. So for some of you, there could be a new contract that's being signed, and it's really good news, but it is a big change. And when you sign a contract or give a letter of resignation, or get married or get divorced, those contracts, because they're contracts, you're making and breaking them. They're some of the biggest events in your life. My life is still taking a different trajectory because of my declaration of independence from, my old job. And it was basically that I quit and I handed it to the signifier of justice in my own sort of life and energy. And she was like, okay, now what are you going to do? And I said, I'm going to do this. And she's like, all right, do it. So we're constantly having a conversation with justice, and we're either keeping or not keeping our promises. So keep your promises this month with your higher self. Okay, that was fun. All right, let's move on to sun, rising, and moon messages. We're going to dig a little deeper and see what's available to you over the next 6 to 8 weeks. Again, you can always use this for all aspects of your chart, but in particular, I'm going to be looking at sun, rising, and moon. Okay, I'm going to honor it. We got 2 for sun, rising, and moon. All right, let's break it down. For the sun, again, very interesting. We have 2. They're good. We're going to focus first on the primary card, the presenting one. So I just want to pull it up right for a second so we can see it. We have the Six of Wands, and it's very kind of like Lord of the Rings-esque. So Six of Wands is about leading the charge, especially as illustrated here. So I mentioned earlier about the modeling of behavior. So for many of you, it is about choosing that route of kindness and integrity, because those two energies came through. And it may not exist. You may not have the leadership or the direction that you need for that. But for the sun sign this month, if you lead, others will follow. Sometimes it's lonely at the forefront, at the, if you're kind of like breaking through things, but that's what you're really kind of being set up for. What's holding you back, or what's creating some tension here? So underneath the reversed Six of Wands, we have an upright moon card. The moon is great. So especially as illustrated here, she's the mirror of truth, basically, because we're looking at the waters below and the reflective energy of the moon. The moon may not have its own light source, but what it's really good at is reflecting other sources of energy. So the way that you can lead the charge this month is by showing people, again, modeling the right behavior, but also showing them the truth. There may be something that comes out legally where you're sharing something, but you need the receipts on this and you need the sort of tangible stuff. So have the receipts, have the mirror, show the way, lead the way. This is also trusting intuition. And it's also about, we don't even see on this card the traditional two figures of the wolf and the dog. So we're beyond the competition, we're beyond the territorial energy. We're just now focusing on insight, intuition, instinct, and reflective energy. And that's where the power is this month. So it's a pretty good month, I have to say, as I'm looking at Scorpio sun. Let's move from sun to rising. Rising, of course, can touch the areas of work, the public at large. It's also the persona that we put out there. This is where the work needs to be done. So in the rising or ascendant, for any of you that are Scorpio rising or ascendant, what we're looking at here is an unraveling of an old version of yourself and basically coming into the truth. So in the past, there may have been a need to protect yourself. As nice as it may be to say you always need to be who you truly are, there are places in the world where you can't be authentic. A lot of times people are, for the religion that they practice, for the people that they love, for the beliefs that they hold, they are not allowed to be authentic. In that case, the Seven of Swords is basically non-disclosure for protection of self. This is about finding a place where you can be yourself, where you no longer have to be in that energy of non-disclosure. So one devil reversed energy that I could see as a completely understandable and relatable energy is you can't say who you are for fear of rejection or being hurt or not being able to be safe. It's always okay in that case to do what you need to do to get out of that and get to safe ground. So if you can't be yourself where you're at, you have the encouragement of the cards to find a place where you can be yourself. The other thing, that the devil card in reverse is saying is you don't have to agree to something that is unreasonable. So the devil wants to, you can see him here, hold the strings, pull people up like a marionette. And so if there's a contract at work, if there's a person in your life that's trying to push you to do something that you know is either unreasonable or illegal or lacking integrity, you're just going to walk away. So this is about seeing the devil from, 10,000 miles away and just saying, no, been there, done that, don't like the way that story ends. The other thing with devil reversed energy, all you have to do is go into something and say the truth, say how you feel, when it's safe. We mentioned some places where it's not, but if someone's acting a fool or is asking for something ridiculous, you could just say, that's unreasonable. That doesn't work for me. Sorry. And this is what I need. Or you could call out their lack of integrity, say, we've talked about this 2 or 3 times. This is especially true for when you're working somewhere. I haven't gotten a pay raise. You haven't been able to help me with this area and this area, yet I've done this, this, and this. So you're falling short on your end of the bargain, which makes it difficult for me. Only do this when you have a plan B. But when you're ready to pull the sort of plug on something like that, that's what we see. So for some of you, you've noticed or noted something that is no longer supportive, bringing the integrity, bringing the support that you need in your life in any way, shape, or form, and it's time to say goodbye. And that's why we got multiple death and judgment and justice cards. You're going to do what's right, do what's right for you, what's right for others, etc. So the most pivotal movement happens for my Scorpio rising or ascendant, but it's still an empowered card. Devil reversed is freedom. It's unshackling or release. Okay? Now, as we look at the moon sign energy, well, we have another knight card coming in. We have the Knight of Wands. Beautiful knight in this card. Knight of Wands is, for many of you, this energy of, it can be in business or creativity or just yourself, where you're feeling like, I moved to create action. I moved to change. I want to make this happen. It's a bossy card. Any of the court cards in Wands, they basically have an idea and they run with it. So, whether you're in the role of a producer or an assistant or a director, that doesn't matter. It's just like, I have ideas and I'm going to make this happen. And knights pull it all together. With the reining in of the sort of the reins on the horse, what you may also be needing to do is doing a little bit of this work with the Six of Pentacles on time and energy and your own sort of pushing through the fear of going up the steps and all of that stuff. But once you do, we have two knights. Let's see if I can get them to face each other. No, they're facing in different directions. But we have two knights coming in. This can be you. This can be also the partner that's coming in to match your energy. So I definitely see the potential for partnership, new love, fire. I see the potential to bring things forward. The moon is interesting because many people may not see this side of you. It's kind of like you have a spark, a fire, an ability to do something magical, and this is your month to really show that. Okay? All right. We've been through all of the main choices. I'm going to do one more thing here, our main sections. I'm going to look at a reader's choice, and then we're going to move on to the meditation. I want to look at change. We got death and transformation so many times. So the reader's choice this month is, how can you really embrace and embark upon this necessary movement or change in your life? And we have the Five of Pentacles coming through for this. It boils down to, for many of you, just confidence, belief, and release of something in the past. A lot of times with the Five of Pentacles, as a child, maybe you didn't get the support you needed from a teacher, from a friend, maybe even from yourself. You were too hard on yourself. As an adult, you look at this and you think to yourself, you know what? I think I can do this. I think I have the key now and I'm ready to open the door. I'm ready to become the gatekeeper. But there's also a desire and a need to not accept less than enough, because your true worth this month is one up here, the Six of Pentacles. Not only that, but there's far more where that came from when I'm looking at the center card. So I think the key thing for you to focus on is not waiting for acknowledgement or support from someone who couldn't, wouldn't, or won't give it, but instead to make sure that you're setting on your own path and creating your own stability and your own sort of abundance in your life. You're the source, and that's basically what I get with that. All right, before I get into the final portion, we're going to pull one card at the end. So if you have another question for me, write it down. Do me a favor, hit the like and subscribe if you haven't already. You can follow me on social media. A reminder, if you do follow me on social media, and I put the link in the comment, by the way, I don't offer private readings. I don't use direct messages. There was someone on Facebook pretending to be me, and I think I got the profile taken down. So just remember, I don't use DMs. If you want to give back and show some love and support, you can do that as well. All right, let's get ready for the meditation today. I think the key thing for you, I really want to focus on the center card that I kind of let out a gasp of joy when I saw this one. It's beautiful. So we're going to focus on a new day dawning in front of you. Close your eyes if you will. Imagine that you're in this magical meadow. And as you take a nice deep breath, you can still smell that, basically all the sweetness of spring starting to waft in. And even there's a heaviness in the air. There's moisture from the evening, and you can feel the warmth and light of the sun as it wraps its rays of light around you. If you were in that energy of the Five of Pentacles, in this moment, you feel loved, you feel supported, you feel really connected to your source and to your power. And as I play the singing bowl here, I want you to imagine that the connection to source, and really at the end of the day, the confidence that comes with knowing who you are, is going to be amplified with each breath that you take. So just enjoy this, and then we'll look at the final card in just a few minutes. Taking a deep breath, open your heart to feeling ready, worthy, and able to make whatever change, movement, or shift is coming through in your life. Feel that warmth and light suffuse and absorb into your auric field. You can carry that with you each and every day, meditating on that vision of the rising sun coming through the crown chakra, spilling into each and every energy point in your body as you need it. All right, take a couple of deep breaths. Gently on the next exhale, I'd love for you to open your eyes. And let's take a look and see what energy is coming through for the final card, final question that you have for me. So just hold that question in your mind, and let's give the cards a shuffle. See what the answer is to your question. Okay, we have the Hermit card, which is great energy overall. So the Hermit came through in the reverse state for the final card. The Hermit basically is one of the wisest cards you can pull. The reversal of this is saying many of you are closer to, again, completion or understanding of something than you may give yourself credit for. But there's almost this desire to rush through something. So if I get Temperance, Hermit, or the Hanged Man cards and they're reversed, it's saying just hang out for a half second more here and make sure that you've got everything that you need. Really see the light within, really feel confident, because once you've got that confidence, you're entering into the lantern, the star energy, and things are going to pick up pretty quickly. This also reminds me a little bit of the bee that we saw earlier. All of the fireflies kind of together, they almost remind me of a colony of light. So many of you are attracting sort of this new energy group around you. It could be a chosen family. It could be your sort of light family. So things could look a lot different even 6 months from now or 1 year from now when we're looking at the people around you. So keep your heart and mind open. Show your light. Be a light when there is no light. Show kindness even when kindness doesn't exist. We have to put out that good energy, and then you basically like attracts like, and that is what a firefly is definitely a good symbol for. But the Hermit will eventually share their knowledge. There's something that you're working on right now to get a little bit more comfortable with believing in yourself and believing who you are. All right, before we wrap up today, I want to just say a heartfelt thank you to everybody that made it to today's presentation. My pleasure, my honor to be here for you. I offer this 4 times a week, right? Sundays as a collective where we look at the 7-day forecast. You can check that out on my main channel page. And then on Monday, Thursday, and Friday, I look at all the signs. Every day I do a 1-minute video as well. So take a look at that. Remember to hit the live tab to look at old live streams. YouTube recently reorganized or redecorated, much to my chagrin. But let's take a look now at any of the newest members and say thank you, and then I'll say thanks to the super stickers. All right. It looks like Aishwara, is that how you say it? Thank you so much for becoming a member. Annette, J. Mark, and Christina. I appreciate your presence here. Many of you are brand new channel members, so it's good to have you here. Let me also say thanks to a few folks that gave back with super stickers and super chat, and then we'll wrap up for today. So for today, we just have one. So thank you so much, Monica, for your presence today and for your support. And again, if you'd like to show additional support, just showing up is plenty. You can also share this across social media. There's a share button that'll be available on replay. And also maybe putting one of these beautiful little green hearts. Show me what it is that you're moving into change-wise or energetically by putting a comment when this is on replay underneath the video. And that engagement helps as well. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for showing up today, for being the best version of yourself, and for allowing me to be here to show you the possibilities. I'll see you very soon. Again, check out your daily card and your weekly reading if you haven't already. And you can also look for your sun, rising, and moon if you haven't already as well. All right, everyone. Have a good one. Much love and light. Bye-bye. Thank you.